The research vessel floated quietly in the darkness of space. Inside, Yuna checked her instruments one last time. She had been studying the strange energy readings near the Kepler 442 system for 3 weeks now. The data fascinated her. As a xenobiologist, she spent most of her time analyzing alien life forms. But this mission was different. These energy patterns didn't match anything in the human database. She typed notes into her computer, her fingers moving quickly across the keyboard. Behind her, the ship's sensors beeped softly. Everything seemed normal. The stars outside her window looked peaceful and distant. Yuna smiled to herself. Space always made her feel small, but in a good way. It reminded her why she loved this work. Then the alarm screamed. Red lights flashed across every surface. Yuna's chair shook as something hit the ship hard. She grabbed the controls, trying to steady the vessel, but another impact sent her sideways. The computer screen showed a massive ship appearing behind her. It was 3 times the size of her research vessel, covered in dark metal plates that looked like scales. "This is human research vessel Phoenix," Yuna said into the communication system. "We are on a peaceful scientific mission. Please identify yourself," Static answered her. Then laughter. Deep hissing laughter that made her skin feel cold. "Peaceful," a voice said, dripping with amusement. "How cute." Before Yuna could respond, her ship's systems went dead. The lights flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in dim red light. She felt the ship being pulled by some kind of tractor beam. Yuna's hand moved to the emergency beacon hidden under her console. She pressed it quickly, sending out a distress signal with her location. Then she stood up and waited. The airlock exploded inward. 3 figures entered her ship, moving with fluid grace. They were tall, maybe 7 feet, with bodies covered in green and brown scales. Their heads were angular, with yellow eyes that had vertical slits for pupils. They wore armor that seemed to shift colors, and each one carried weapons that hummed with energy. The leader stepped forward. His scales were darker than the others, almost black with red markings across his chest and arms. He looked at Yuna the way a cat might look at a mouse. "A human," he said, his lipless mouth pulling back to show rows of sharp teeth. "How far from home you are, little mammal." Yuna stood straight, keeping her face calm. "I am Captain Yuna of the Human Scientific Corps. You have attacked a peaceful vessel without provocation. This is a violation of—" The leader laughed again, cutting her off. "Provocation? Little creature, you are in Vrexian hunting grounds. Everything here is ours to take." He moved closer, circling her slowly. "I am Commander Thax of the hunting vessel Bloodclaw. We are the greatest hunters in the galaxy. For 10,000 years, my people have tracked and captured the most dangerous prey in the universe." He stopped in front of her, leaning down until his face was inches from hers. His breath smelled like sulfur and old meat. "But you," Thax continued, "are not dangerous prey. Look at you, soft skin, blunt teeth, small claws." He grabbed her hand, examining her fingers with mock fascination. "What are these supposed to do? Scratch, tickle?" His companions hissed with laughter. Yuna pulled her hand back. "I see. You're collectors. Hunters," Thax corrected sharply. "We hunt the apex predators of the galaxy. But occasionally we find curiosities, rare specimens, things that don't belong in the wild." He smiled again, showing all those teeth. "Humans are new to space. Barely 200 years since you left your little planet. Most species don't even know you exist yet. You'll fetch an excellent price from the right collector." They grabbed her roughly, binding her wrists with metal restraints that hummed with energy. Yuna didn't fight. She watched everything, memorizing the layout of their armor, the way they moved, the technology they used. Her scientific mind kept working, analyzing, recording. They dragged her through the airlock and into their ship. The Bloodclaw was enormous inside. The corridors were tall and wide, with walls covered in strange markings. But what caught Yuna's attention were the trophies. Everywhere she looked, she saw pieces of alien creatures preserved in cases. Skulls, teeth, claws, entire preserved bodies of species she'd never seen before. "Impressive, yes?" Thax said, noticing her looking. Each one was an apex predator on their world. Each one thought they were unbeatable. He stopped at one case containing a massive skull with 6 eye sockets and tusks as long as Yuna's arm. "This was a Thorian battle beast. Took me 3 months to track and kill it. Magnificent creature." They continued walking until they reached a large chamber lined with cells. Each cell was made of energy barriers that glowed blue. Inside the cells, Yuna saw other captive creatures. Some paced back and forth, Others sat quietly, staring at nothing. All of them looked defeated. Thax threw Yuna into an empty cell. The energy barrier snapped on, sealing her inside. The cell was small, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet, with a hard bench and nothing else. "Make yourself comfortable, human," Thax said. "We have several more stops before we reach the auction world. Plenty of time for you to think about your new life as someone's exotic pet." He leaned against the barrier, studying her. "I must admit, I'm curious. How did your species even get into space? You have no natural weapons, no armor, no venom. You're slower than most predators, weaker than most prey. By all logic, you should have died out on your own world long ago." Yuna sat down on the bench, keeping her expression neutral. "Perhaps logic isn't as simple as you think," Thax laughed. "Perhaps. Or perhaps you humans were just lucky. Maybe you never had real predators on your world. Maybe you lived in some safe corner where nothing wanted to eat you." He turned to leave. "Either way, it doesn't matter now. Out here in the real universe, luck runs out." The other Vrexians followed him, their laughter echoing down the corridor. The lights dimmed, leaving Yuna in semi-darkness. Around her, the other captives made soft sounds. Whimpers. Clicks. One creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard stared at her with sad, intelligent eyes. Yuna closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She thought about Earth, about forests where humans once ran for days chasing wounded prey, about savannas where early humans outlasted faster animals through pure endurance, about caves where humans painted pictures of the animals they hunted, studying them, learning them, mastering them. She thought about her brother Day. If her distress signal reached him, he would come. She knew he would come. And when he did, these Vrexians would learn something important. They would learn what apex predators really were. Yuna opened her eyes and began to observe. She watched the guard patterns, counted the number of Vrexians who passed by, noted when they changed shifts. She studied the energy barrier, looking for fluctuations or weak points. Her mind worked like it always did, methodical and precise. The Vrexians thought she was prey. They thought humans were weak. They were wrong. And soon, very soon, they would understand exactly how wrong they were. The bridge of the Indomitable was quiet when the alert came through. Lieutenant Day sat in the command chair reviewing supply reports. The military vessel had been on patrol in the outer sectors for 6 months, checking on human colonies and watching for pirates. It was routine work, mostly boring, but Day didn't mind. Boring meant safe. Boring meant everyone went home alive. Then the communications console beeped. Once, twice, 3 times. Day looked up. "What is that?" The communications officer, a young woman named Jiwoo, frowned at her screen. "Emergency beacon, sir. It's using a scientific core frequency." Her fingers flew across the console. "Signal is heavily encrypted. Personal encryption code." Day stood up and walked to her station. "Can you decode it?" Jiwoo worked for a moment, then stopped. Her face went pale. "Sir, the encryption code. It belongs to your sister." Day felt his heart skip. "Yuna?" "Yes, sir. Captain Yuna." The signal came from the Kepler 442 system, approximately 6 light-years from our current position. Jiwoo looked at him. "The signal is 3 hours old." Day grabbed the edge of the console. His mind raced. Yuna was a scientist, not a soldier. She studied alien biology on peaceful research missions. She had no reason to send an emergency signal unless something was very wrong. "Wake everyone," Day said, his voice hard. "All senior staff to the bridge, now." Within 10 minutes, the bridge filled with people. Minho, the chief pilot, arrived first. He was short and wiry, with quick eyes that missed nothing. Behind him came Taeyong, the weapons specialist, a tall man with arms covered in old training scars. Last was Hana, the medical officer, who looked tired but alert. Day pulled up a holographic display showing Yuna's last known position. 3 hours ago, my sister sent out an emergency beacon. Her research vessel was in this system." He pointed to the glowing dot. "She wouldn't send that signal unless she was in serious danger." "Could be equipment failure," Minho suggested. "Or maybe she hit some debris." Day shook his head. The signal included a threat code. Someone attacked her. The room went quiet. Taeyang leaned forward. "Who, pirates?" "Unknown." Day brought up more data. "But the area is listed as Vrexian hunting territory." Everyone in the room stiffened. Hana spoke first. "The Vrexians. Those are the reptile hunters, right? I've read about them. They capture rare species for sport and profit." "That's right," Jiwoo said from her console. They've been operating in the outer sectors for centuries. Most governments leave them alone because they're powerful and well-connected. They have treaties with the major galactic powers. Taeyang crossed his arms. Let me guess. Those treaties don't include Earth because we're too new to the galactic community. Exactly, Day said. Which means legally, they can claim salvage rights on any human vessel in their territory. He looked around the room. If they took my sister, they'll sell her, either as a specimen or as exotic property. Minho whistled low. That's dark. That's reality. Day pulled up the Vrexian database entry. Images of tall reptilian creatures appeared, along with text describing their culture and capabilities. The Vrexians consider themselves the greatest hunters in the galaxy. They've been apex predators on their world for millions of years. They're strong, fast, and they have advanced technology. Hana studied the images. How advanced? Their ships are military-grade. Weapons, shields, cloaking devices. They also have extensive biological knowledge because they study their prey. Day closed the display. Bottom line, they're dangerous and they don't respect human authority. Taeyang smiled, but it wasn't friendly. Sounds like they need an education. Agreed. Day turned to Minho. How fast can we get to that system? Minho thought for a moment. 6 light years. If we push the quantum drives to maximum, maybe 18 hours. But that'll burn a lot of fuel. Do it. Jiwoo, I need you to hack into every information network you can reach. Find out everything about Vrexian hunting vessels. Routes, patterns, ship specifications, everything. Jiwoo nodded. Yes, sir. Taeyang, prep all weapon systems. I want railguns charged, missiles loaded, and the point defense grid active. Also get the boarding equipment ready. Taeyang's smile grew wider. Planning to get personal? If necessary. Day looked at Hana. You'll prepare the medical bay for potential casualties. Also research Vrexian biology. If we end up in a fight, I want to know where to shoot them. Hana made a note on her tablet. Understood. Day took a breath. I know this is personal for me. If anyone wants to object to this mission, speak now. I'll note it in the log and there won't be any consequences. No one moved. No one spoke. Finally, Minho broke the silence. Sir, with respect, your sister is human scientific core. That makes her one of ours. We don't leave our people behind. The others nodded agreement. Taeyang added, Besides, I've been wanting to test our new weapons against something that shoots back. Pirates are getting boring. Despite everything, Day almost smiled. All right then. Let's go get her. The crew scattered to their stations. Day returned to the command chair and watched the stars streak past as Minho engaged the quantum drive. The ship hummed with power, accelerating to speeds that bent physics and common sense. While they traveled, Jiwoo worked her magic. She broke into commercial databases, military networks, even black market communication channels. Information flowed across her screens in rivers of data. She compiled it all, building a profile of their enemy. Found something, she called out after several hours. There's a Vrexian hunting vessel called the Bloodclaw. It's been operating in that sector for the past month. The ship is registered to a Commander Thax. He's apparently famous in their culture. Lots of kills. Lots of trophies. Day walked over to her station. What kind of trophies? Jiwoo pulled up images. They showed various alien creatures, all preserved in cases or mounted on walls. Some were small and delicate. Others were massive and terrifying. All of them were dead. He's a collector, Jiwoo said quietly. He captures rare species and either keeps them or sells them to private collectors. According to the databases, he's never lost a hunt. There's a first time for everything, Day said. Hours passed. The crew prepared in silence. Minho plotted approach vectors, looking for ways to surprise a ship that probably had better sensors. Taeyang ran drills with the weapon systems, making sure every gun and missile was ready. Hana filled the medical bay with supplies and studied the information on Vrexian anatomy. Day stood on the bridge, staring at the image of his sister on his personal screen. Yuna looked happy in the photo, smiling at some scientific conference. She held an award for her research on alien plant biology. She looked so proud. We're going to get you, Day whispered to the image. I promise, Minho appeared beside him. Sir, we'll be entering the system in 30 minutes. I've found something interesting. Day looked up. What? There's a nebula near the edge of the system. Lots of gas and dust. It'll mess with sensors on both sides. Minho pulled up a tactical display. If we approach through the nebula, we can get close before they detect us. Maybe even get the first shot. Good thinking. Day studied the map. What's our weapons advantage? Taeyang joined them. Honestly, sir, not much. Their ship is bigger and probably has better shields. But we have two advantages. First, human weapons are designed differently. We don't try to disable enemy ships. We try to destroy them completely. Our railguns hit harder than most species think is reasonable. And second, Taeyang's expression turned cold. They think we're weak. They think humans are new to space and easy to intimidate. They're not expecting us to fight back hard. He paused. They're definitely not expecting us to win. Day looked around the bridge. His crew worked with quiet efficiency. They weren't the biggest or strongest species in the galaxy. Humans had only been in space for 200 years. Most aliens still thought of them as primitive newcomers, but Day knew something those aliens didn't understand. Humans hadn't reached the top of Earth's food chain by being nice. They got there by being stubborn, creative, and absolutely ruthless when necessary. Every animal on Earth that challenged humanity was either domesticated, extinct, or hiding. 20 minutes, Minho announced. Day sat in the command chair. All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill. We are going to recover one of our own from hostile forces. Expect resistance. Expect violence. And remember, we didn't start this fight, but we're going to finish it. The crew responded with quiet affirmations. The ship went dark except for red combat lighting. Weapons powered up with a thrumming sound that Day felt in his bones. The Indomitable slipped into the nebula like a shark entering murky water. Outside, clouds of gas glowed in shades of purple and blue. Sensors struggled to penetrate the interference. Contact, Jiwoo said. Large vessel bearing 270. It matches the profile of the Blood Claw. Day leaned forward. There she is. There's our target. They haven't detected us yet, Minho reported. Good. Day's voice was cold and hard. Let's keep it that way. Get us closer. Taeyang, prepare to fire on my mark. The Indomitable glided forward through the nebula. Silent. Patient. Deadly. The hunt had begun. Yuna had been in the cell for 14 hours when Commander Thax returned. She heard his footsteps long before she saw him. Heavy, confident steps that echoed through the corridor. He walked like someone who had never known fear. The energy barrier flickered off. 2 guards stood behind Thax, their weapons ready. The commander smiled his horrible smile and gestured. Come, human. I wish to speak with you. Yuna stood slowly. She had been exercising to keep her muscles from cramping. Push-ups, squats, stretches. The other prisoners had watched her with confusion. Most of them just sat and waited for their fate. But Yuna couldn't sit still. Her body needed to move. The guards grabbed her arms and pulled her into the corridor. They walked past the other cells, past the trophies on the walls. Finally, they entered a large chamber that looked like a museum. Cases lined every wall, each one containing pieces of dead creatures, skulls, bones, preserved bodies floating in clear liquid. Thax walked to the center of the room and turned to face her. Do you know what this place is? A grave, Yuna said. The commander's eyes narrowed. This is a trophy room. These are the greatest kills of my career. Each one represents a hunt, a challenge, a victory. He walked to a nearby case. Inside was a creature that looked like a spider mixed with a tiger. It had 8 legs and 6 eyes, all frozen in a final snarl. This is a Vrakon hunter. On their world, they are the apex predator. Nothing hunts them. Nothing escapes them. Nothing except you, Yuna said. Exactly. Thax moved to another case. This one is a Kormath crusher. It can break through steel with its bare hands. Its skin is like armor. It has killed hundreds of prey in its lifetime. He turned back to Yuna. But I killed it. Because I am better. Because Vrexians are the true apex predators of the universe. Yuna looked around the room. She counted 37 cases. 37 dead creatures. You're very proud of yourself. I have earned my pride. Thax circled her slowly. But you, human, you confuse me. Your species has no natural weapons. No claws, no fangs. No venom. Your skin tears easily. Your bones break with little force. You cannot even run fast. He stopped in front of her. So tell me, how did you survive on your world? What protected you from the predators? Yuna met his eyes. Nothing protected us, Thax laughed. Then you must have had no predators. Your world must have been safe and gentle. No, Yuna said quietly. Our world was the opposite of safe. The commander tilted his head. Explain, Yuna took a breath. She thought about how to make him understand. Earth, my home world, is covered with predators. Big cats that can kill with one bite. Bears that weigh half a ton. Wolves that hunt in packs. Crocodiles that hide in water and drag prey under. Snakes with venom that stops your heart in minutes. Spiders. Sharks. Even some plants that can kill you. Thax looked skeptical. And yet you survived with no natural defenses? We survived because we learned to hunt them first. Una walked to one of the cases, looking at the creature inside. Early humans, millions of years ago, we were prey. Big cats hunted us. We lived in trees to hide from them. We were small and weak and slow. Then how are you still alive? We changed. Una turned to face him. We didn't grow claws or fangs. We couldn't. Our evolution went a different direction. We grew smarter. We learned to make tools, sharp rocks, wooden spears. We learned to work together in groups. And most importantly, we learned to run. Thax snorted. Run? You are slow compared to most predators. Slow in a sprint, yes, but we can run for hours, days even. Una started walking around the room and the guards tensed, but she just looked at the trophies. On Earth, most predators are fast for short distances. A lion can run at 70 kilometers per hour, but only for a few hundred meters. Then it needs to rest. But humans can run at 15 kilometers per hour for dozens of kilometers without stopping. What good is that? Everything. Una's eyes lit up as she spoke. When early humans hunted, we didn't chase prey and kill it quickly. We followed it. We tracked it. We kept it moving so it couldn't rest. We ran after it in the hot sun while it tried to escape, hour after hour. The animal would run fast, then stop to rest. But we would catch up, so it would run again, and again, and again. Thax was listening now, his expression thoughtful. Persistence hunting. Yes, eventually the prey would collapse from exhaustion. Its muscles would give out. Its body would overheat. And then we would walk up to it and kill it with our tools. Una looked at him. We didn't need to be faster. We just needed to be more stubborn. One of the guards shifted uncomfortably. Thax noticed and shot him a look. Continue, he said to Una. As we got better at hunting, we got better at everything else. We learned to control fire. We learned to make better weapons. Bows and arrows that could kill from far away. Traps that could catch animals without us being there. We learned to work as teams, communicating with complex language. Una smiled slightly. And we learned to plan, to think ahead, to predict what prey would do before it did it. Many species have these abilities, Thax said, but his voice was less confident now. Do they? Una walked closer to him. How many species on your world competed with you for food? How many other apex predators did you face? None. We were always dominant. On Earth, we competed with dozens of apex predators. We shared our environment with massive predators that should have killed us all. Una counted on her fingers. Cave bears, saber-toothed cats, giant wolves, massive crocodiles, and we didn't just survive alongside them. We made them extinct. Thax's pupils narrowed to slits. You killed them all? Not directly, but we outcompeted them. We hunted the same prey they did, but we were better at it. We took their food. We took their territory. We pushed them to the edges of the world until there was nowhere left for them to go. Una's voice was calm, matter of fact. And when they tried to fight back, we killed them. We made weapons specifically designed to kill animals bigger and stronger than us. The room was very quiet now. Even the guards were staring at her. But the most important thing, Una continued, is that we didn't stop hunting after we became safe. Most predators hunt because they're hungry. Once they eat, they rest. But humans hunt for other reasons. We hunt for resources, for territory, for sport. We breed animals just to hunt them. We invented games based on hunting. We made art about hunting. Hunting became part of our culture, our identity. She walked back to the case with the spider-tiger creature. You hunt because it's your nature, because you need to prove you're strong. But we hunt because we choose to, because we want to. Because somewhere deep in our DNA we remember being prey, and we never want to be prey again. Thax was staring at her now, his expression unreadable. Your world sounds like a nightmare. To you, maybe. To us, it's home. Una turned to face him directly. You asked how humans got into space with no natural weapons. The answer is simple. We didn't need natural weapons because we made better ones. We didn't need thick skin because we made armor. We didn't need to be fast because we made machines that move faster than any animal. Technology, Thax said dismissively. Any species can develop technology. Can they? Yuna raised an eyebrow. Most species in the galaxy developed technology after they achieved safety. After they dominated their worlds, they made tools for comfort and convenience. But humans made tools for survival. Every invention, every discovery came from trying to stay alive in a world that wanted to kill us. She began counting on her fingers again. Fire, to keep warm and cook food and scare away predators. Clothing, to survive in climates that should have killed us. Medicine, to heal wounds from animals and diseases. Buildings, to hide from dangers. Agriculture, to control our food supply. Metallurgy, to make better weapons. Mathematics, to calculate trajectories for hunting. Chemistry, to make poisons and explosives. Thax shifted his weight. All species develop these things, but not with the same desperation, not with the same creative violence. Yuna's voice grew harder. Human history is the story of taking something that wanted to kill us and finding a way to kill it first. Wolves hunted us, so we domesticated them and made them hunt for us. Horses were prey, so we tamed them and used them to chase other prey faster. Rivers blocked our path, so we built boats. Mountains stopped us, so we carved roads through them. Diseases killed millions of us, so we studied them, learned them, and destroyed them. She took a step closer to Thax. The guards raised their weapons, but Yuna ignored them. You collect trophies from the predators you kill. But on Earth, the ultimate trophy isn't killing a predator. It's making that predator serve you. We turned wolves into dogs. We turned wildcats into pets. We took creatures that hunted us and made them love us. Thax's tail twitched. On Avrexian, that was a sign of nervousness. You speak as if humans are special. You're not. You're just another species that got lucky. Lucky? Yuna laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Commander, humans spread to every continent on Earth. We live in deserts where the temperature reaches 50 degrees. We live in frozen tundra where nothing else survives. We live in jungles, mountains, islands, swamps. We live underground and on the water. We adapted to every environment our planet offered. And when we ran out of planet, we left it and came out here. She gestured at the trophies around them. You hunt the apex predators of other worlds. You take them from there. The Indomitable drifted through the nebula like a ghost. On the bridge, Day watched the Bloodclaw on his tactical display. The Vrexian ship was massive, at least 3 times the size of the human vessel. Its dark hull absorbed light, making it hard to see against the backdrop of space. Distance? Day asked quietly. 2,000 kilometers and closing, Minho reported from the pilot station. His hands moved across the controls with practiced ease. They still haven't detected us. The nebula is blocking their sensors. Jiwoo worked at her console, streams of data flowing across her screens. I'm into their outer network. Their security is good, but not good enough. Give me 2 more minutes and I'll have access to their internal systems. Weapons hot, Taeyang reported. Railguns charged. Missiles locked. Point defense active. We're ready. Day leaned forward in his chair. Hana status? The medical officer's voice came through the intercom from the medical bay. Ready for casualties. I've also prepared sedatives and stimulants in case we need them. And sir, I found something interesting in the Vrexian biology data. What? Their scales are tough, but their joints aren't as protected. Also, their eyes are very sensitive to bright light because they evolved on a planet with a dim sun. Flashbangs and bright lights will hurt them more than they'd hurt us. Good to know. Day made a mental note. Every advantage mattered. Jiwoo, how's that hack coming? Almost there. Their internal network is compartmentalized, but I'm breaking through. She typed faster. Got it, I'm in their systems. Mapping the ship now. A holographic blueprint appeared above the tactical display. The Bloodclaw's interior lit up in blue lines and shapes. Corridors, rooms, engineering sections. Weapons arrays. Where are the prisoners? Day asked. Jiwoo manipulated the display, zooming in on a section near the middle of the ship. Here, detention block. I'm reading multiple life signs in cells. One of them has human biosigns. Day felt his chest tighten. That's her. That's Yuna. There are approximately 40 Vrexians on the ship, Jiwoo continued. Most are in the crew quarters or on the bridge. Light security on the detention block. Maybe 3 or 4 guards. Minho glanced back at Day. So what's the plan, boss? Hit them hard and fast? Day thought for a moment. The smart play would be to disable the ship from a distance, then board it. But that would take time, and time meant Yuna was in danger longer. No. He needed to be fast. Brutal. Overwhelming. Here's what we do, Day said. Taeyang, I want you to target their weapons arrays and their engines. Not the whole ship, just those systems. Take them out with the railguns. That's surgical, Taeyang said. Not much room for error. Can you do it? Watch me. Taeyang's fingers danced across his weapons console. Targeting solutions locked. Ready when you are. Jiwoo, once we fire, I need you to shut down everything you can on their ship. Doors. Life support to non-essential areas, communications. Make them blind and confused. Understood. Minho, after we fire, get us right next to them. I want our airlock touching theirs. We're going in through the front door. Minho smiled. Bold. I like it. Day stood up and grabbed a weapon harness from a storage locker. He strapped it on, checking the pistol and knife built into it. Taeyang, you're with me for the boarding. Jiwoo stays here to control the hack. Minho keeps the ship ready in case we need to run. What about me? Hana's voice came through the intercom. You stay in medical. We'll probably have wounded. Dee took a breath. All right. Everyone ready? Affirmative responses came from all stations. Day sat back down in the command chair. Then let's go get my sister. Taeyang, fire! The Indomitable shuddered as the railguns fired. 2 tungsten slugs shot through space at a significant fraction of light speed. They covered the distance to the Blood Claw in a fraction of a second. The first slug hit the Vrexian ship's main engine, punching through the armor and exploding inside. The second hit the weapons array on the starboard side, turning it into scrap metal. Alarms screamed on the Blood Claw. They could imagine the chaos on their bridge. Direct hits, Taeyang reported. Their engines are crippled. Weapons down by 60%. Now Jiwoo. Jiwoo's fingers flew across her console. On the Blood Claw, doors started locking. Systems went dark. Communications channels filled with static. The Vrexian crew scrambled to understand what was happening. They're trying to purge me from the system, Jiwoo said. But I'm deep in the code now. They'll need 10 minutes to kick me out. We won't need 10 minutes. Day grabbed the intercom. All hands brace for docking. Minho pushed the Indomitable's engines hard. The ship shot forward, closing the distance to the Blood Claw in seconds. He rotated the vessel with precision, lining up the airlocks. Metal crunched against metal as the 2 ships connected. Docked, Minho announced. Seal is good. You're clear to board. Dai and Taeyang ran to the airlock. They wore light armor and carried rifles designed for ship combat. Short-barreled, powerful, with ammunition that would hurt Vrexians but wouldn't punch through the hull and vent atmosphere. Remember, Day said as they waited for the airlock to cycle. We're not here to kill everyone. We're here to get Yuna and anyone else they captured. But if they get in the way, put them down. Taeyang checked his rifle. What if they surrender? Then we accept it. Day's voice was hard. But I doubt they will. Vrexians are proud. They'll fight. The airlock opened. Beyond it was the Blood Claw's airlock, which Jiwoo had forced open. They stepped through into a corridor lit by red emergency lights. The air smelled like sulfur and machine oil. Jiwoo, Day said into his communicator. Guide us to the detention block. Copy that. Go forward 20 meters, then take the left corridor. Be advised, I'm showing 6 Vrexians moving toward your position. Understood. They moved quickly but carefully. The Blood Claw's corridors were tall and wide, designed for creatures bigger than humans. Trophies lined the walls. Skulls, claws, pieces of dead things. Day felt his anger grow. These Vrexians thought they were hunters. They thought they were apex predators. They were about to learn the difference between hunting and war. The first Vrexian appeared at the end of the corridor. He was tall, covered in green scales, carrying an energy weapon that glowed blue. When he saw Day and Taeyang, his eyes widened in surprise. Day shot him 3 times in the chest. The Vrexian fell. 2 more Vrexians came around the corner. Taeyang took them both down with precise bursts. The aliens dropped, hissing in pain. Contact ahead, Jiwoo's voice said in their ears. 3 more 30 meters, they moved forward. The corridor opened into a wider space, some kind of common area. 3 Vrexians were trying to set up a defensive position behind overturned furniture. When they saw the humans, they opened fire. Energy bolts filled the air. Day and Taeyang dove for cover behind a support column. The bolts hit the metal, leaving scorch marks. Flashbang, Day said. Taeyang pulled a small device from his belt and threw it. The flashbang bounced once, twice, then exploded with a blast of light and sound. The Vrexians screamed, clutching their sensitive eyes. Day and Taeyang moved in fast. They shot the blinded Vrexians with clinical precision. The aliens fell. Detention block is just ahead, Jiwoo reported. 2 guards outside. 1 inside. They reached a heavy door. It was locked, but Jiwoo opened it remotely. The door slid aside. Inside was a long corridor lined with energy barrier cells. Two Vrexian guards stood at the far end. They turned, raising their weapons. Taeyang shot the first one. Day shot the second. Both guards dropped. Yuna! Dai shouted. Yuna, where are you? D! A voice came from one of the cells. His sister's voice. Day, I'm here! He ran to the cell she was in. Through the blue energy barrier, he saw Yuna standing there, alive, unharmed. Relief flooded through him. Stand back, he said. Jiwoo, drop the barriers. Done. The energy barriers flickered and died. Yuna stepped out of her cell. She looked at Day, then at Taeyang, then at the dead guards. You came. Of course I came. Day pulled her into a quick hug. You're my sister. Did you think I wouldn't? I knew you would. Yuna smiled, but there was something dark in her eyes. I told them you would. They didn't believe me. Other prisoners started emerging from their cells. Different species, all looking confused and scared. Some could barely walk. One collapsed immediately. Jiwoo, Dai said into his communicator. We need medical. And we need Hana to prep for multiple species. Some of these prisoners are in bad shape. Copy that. But sir, we have a problem. The Vrexians are getting organized. I'm showing 15 of them heading your way, and their commander is on the bridge trying to override my hack. How long do we have? Maybe 5 minutes before I lose control of the ship systems. Day looked at the prisoners. There were at least 10 of them, and most couldn't run. We can't fight our way back with all these people. There's too many of them and not enough of us. Yuna stepped forward. Then we don't fight our way back. What? She pointed at a console on the wall. This ship has an internal tram system for moving cargo. If we can get to a tram station, we can ride it right to the docking area. Taeyang checked his ammunition. Where's the nearest station? 2 levels down. Yuna moved to the console and pulled up a map. Even as a prisoner, she'd been observing and learning. There, we can take this access corridor. Day made a decision. All right. Everyone who can walk, help those who can't. We move together. Taeyang rearguard. I'll take point. The bridge of the Bloodclaw was chaos. Damage reports flooded in from every section. The engines were barely functioning. Weapon systems were offline. Half the crew was dead or injured, and the human ship had escaped. Commander Thack stood in the center of the bridge, his claws digging into the command console. Around him, his crew worked frantically to repair systems and restore order. But Thax wasn't thinking about repairs. He was thinking about the look in that human's eyes. The male who had led the raid, the one who shot without hesitation, the one who moved with cold, calculated violence. Thax had seen many predators in his life, but something about that human was different. Wrong. Terrifying in a way he couldn't explain. Commander, his second officer said nervously, what are your orders? Thax didn't answer immediately. He was remembering what the female had told him. About persistence hunting, about humans outlasting their prey, about how every species that challenged them was now extinct. At the time, he had thought she was exaggerating, making her species sound more dangerous than they were. But now, after seeing how efficiently they had attacked his ship, rescued their crew member and escaped, he wasn't so sure. Send a message to the Vrexian High Command, Thax said finally. Tell them we encountered a human military vessel. Tell them it was more dangerous than expected. The second officer blinked in surprise. Sir, with respect, it was just one small ship. Surely we don't need to... Do it, Thax snapped. And tell them something else. Tell them humans are not prey. They are predators. He paused, his voice dropping lower. And we may have made a terrible mistake by treating them as anything less. On the Indomitable, Yuna sat in the medical bay while Hana checked her for injuries. Around them, the rescued prisoners were being treated. Most would survive. Some were talking quietly, sharing stories of their capture. Others just stared at nothing, still in shock. Day entered the medical bay. He looked tired but relieved. How is everyone? Stable, Hana reported. A few broken bones, some malnutrition, but nothing life-threatening. We'll need to contact their homeworlds and arrange transport. We'll do that from the nearest starbase. Day looked at his sister. How are you? Yuna smiled. I'm fine, really, they didn't hurt me. They just kept me in a cell and talked to me sometimes. What did they talk about? Hunting. Evolution. They wanted to understand why humans seemed so weak. Yuna's smile faded. I told them the truth. I don't think they believed me at first, but after you showed up, I think Commander Thax understood. Day sat down next to her. Did he hurt you at all? No, he was arrogant and cruel, but mostly to show off. I don't think he saw me as a real threat. She looked at her brother. But he will now. After today, the Vrexians will tell other species what happened. Word will spread. Let it spread, Day said firmly. Maybe other hunters will think twice before attacking human ships. Maybe. Yuna didn't sound convinced. Or maybe they'll see us as a challenge. Something worth hunting specifically because we're dangerous. Minho's voice came through the intercom. Sir, we're approaching the edge of the nebula. Should I set course for the nearest starbase? Day stood up. Yes, and send a message to Earth Command. Tell them what happened. They need to know about the Vrexians. On the bridge, Day sat in the command chair and watched the stars. Beside him, Taeyang cleaned his weapons. Jiwoo monitored communications, making sure no Vrexian ships were following them. The Indomitable moved smoothly through space, leaving the nebula behind. Sir, Jiwoo said after a while, I'm picking up a lot of chatter on the Vrexian channels. They're talking about us, about what we did to the Bloodclaw. What are they saying? Most of it is angry. They're calling us criminals and pirates, but some of them sound worried. One message I intercepted called us the hunting prey and recommended extreme caution when dealing with humans. Taeyang laughed. Good, fear keeps people honest, but Day wasn't smiling. He thought about what Yuna had said, about how humanity's reputation in the galaxy would change. They had been ignored before because they seemed weak. Now they would be noticed because they seemed dangerous. He wasn't sure which was worse. 3 days later, the Indomitable arrived at Starbase Horizon, a human outpost on the edge of explored space. They transferred the rescued prisoners to diplomatic services, who would return them to their homeworlds. Day filed his report with the military command. Then they waited. The response came quickly. Earth Command wanted a full briefing. They wanted to know everything about the Vrexians, their technology, their culture, and their capabilities. They also wanted to know exactly how Day had defeated a ship 3 times his size with minimal casualties. During the briefing, which happened over a secure video link, Day explained the tactics they had used. The surprise attack, the cyber warfare, the focused violence. The admirals and generals listening to his report took notes and asked questions. At the end, one admiral spoke up. Lieutenant Day, do you believe the Vrexians will retaliate? Yes, sir. They're a proud species. They won't forget this. And do you believe they're a serious threat to human interests? Day thought carefully before answering. Sir, individually, they're dangerous. They're strong, fast, and well-armed. But they hunt for sport and pride. They're not soldiers. They don't think tactically. They think like predators, which means they're used to being on top. He paused. We can beat them, but we need to be smart about it. Another admiral spoke. Your sister gave them a lecture about human evolution, about how we're apex predators. Do you think that was wise? Day glanced at Yuna, who sat beside him during the briefing. She answered before he could. Sir, they needed to understand. The Vrexians see the galaxy as a hierarchy. Strong species on top, weak species on bottom. If they thought humans were weak, they would keep hunting us. But if they understand we're dangerous, they'll treat us differently. Differently how? With respect. Or at least with caution. Yuna leaned forward. The galaxy is full of predators who became apex species on their worlds, and then assumed they were superior to everyone else. But humans are different. We became apex predators by being smarter, more adaptable, and more ruthless than anything that tried to kill us. That's a message worth sending. The admirals discussed this among themselves for a moment. Finally, the senior admiral spoke again. All right. We'll increase patrols in the outer sectors and issue warnings about the Vrexians. Lieutenant Day, you and your crew did good work. Take some leave. You've earned it. The video link ended. Day and Yuna sat in the briefing room for a moment, both lost in thought. Do you think we did the right thing? Yuna asked quietly. We saved innocent people from slavery. Yes, we did the right thing. I mean, telling them about Earth, about what humans really are. She looked at him. We've been in space for 200 years, Day. We've been careful. We've been peaceful. We've tried to fit in. But now the Vrexians know we're dangerous and they'll tell others. We can't unring that bell. Day stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the starbase bustled with activity. Ships coming and going. Different species trading and talking. The galaxy was big and full of life, and humanity was still new to all of it. Maybe it's time they knew, he said finally. Maybe we've been too careful. We've been acting like guests in someone else's house, trying not to offend anyone. But this is our galaxy too. We have just as much right to be here as anyone else. And if that makes us enemies, then we'll deal with it. Dee turned to face his sister. Una, you told me what you said to Commander Thax about how every predator on Earth either submitted to humans or went extinct. That's not a threat. That's just history. And if the galaxy doesn't like it, that's their problem. Una smiled slightly. When did you become so philosophical? When someone captured my sister and I had to shoot my way through a ship full of alien hunters to get her back. He smiled too. Come on, let's get some food. Real food, not ship rations. They left the briefing room and walked through the starbase. Other humans nodded to them as they passed. Word had already spread about what happened. Day and his crew were becoming famous, or perhaps infamous. In a restaurant overlooking the docking bay, they sat and ordered food. While they waited, Una pulled out her personal tablet and showed Day something. Look at this. It's from the Galactic News Network. Day read the article on the screen. It was about the incident with the blood claw. But it wasn't just reporting facts. It was analyzing them. The article talked about human tactics, human weapons, and human psychology. It compared humans to other known predator species in the galaxy. The conclusion was stark. Humans are more dangerous than previously assessed. Recommend caution when engaging. It's spreading, Una said. Every species in the galaxy will see this. They'll all reassess how they think about humans. Good, Dai said. Maybe now they'll stop trying to hunt us. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council held a session to discuss the Vrexian incident. The council was made up of representatives from the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. They met on a neutral space station that orbited a dying star. Earth had been granted observer status in the council 5 years ago, but humans rarely spoke during sessions. They mostly just listened and learned, but today was different. The human ambassador, an older woman named Unji, stood at the